Breaking news yet again on the biggest law enforcement scandal in recent times. Pay attention because there's a lot coming at you really fast here. The head of the West Virginia State Police has now resigned under the threat of being fired. The governor has announced that the feds are investigating the allegations that were first disclosed to the public on this very YouTube channel a few weeks ago. But there's more. The now former head of the state police just went on the state's biggest talk radio program and accused the governor of making him a fall guy. Then the governor's chief of staff goes on the radio next and unloads right back. Then the governor's office releases this footage depicting one of the allegations that was caught on video, a state trooper stealing money out of a casino that was then covered up. And there's still more. The most outrageous of the allegations I disclosed in my first video pertained to a state trooper putting a hidden camera in the women's locker room of the West Virginia State Police Academy, as well as the ensuing destruction of evidence and cover-up. One of the things argued back and forth on the radio between the former head of the state police and the governor's office in the past couple of days is the claim that there were no victims wanting to press charges. Well, that's not the case apparently. According to media reports, multiple women who regularly used the female locker room at the West Virginia State Police Academy have now filed a notice of intent to sue over allegations of the hidden camera being used there. It looks like multiple lawsuits are incoming. My sources say that there could be arrests coming also. This could be the biggest law enforcement scandal in American history. This is important because it's like a constitutional iceberg. We see a little bit of the problem above the surface, but there's so much more that's yet to come, and that could still never see the light of day if we don't act properly. Yes, this is a huge scandal. Sadly, however, this wouldn't be the first time for the West Virginia State Police. Have you ever heard of Fred Zane? In 1977, Zane was hired as a chemist at the West Virginia State Police Crime Laboratory with the rank of trooper. He was eventually promoted to director of the serology department. It was later discovered that Zane had gained his job in the serology department by using false credentials. Nobody checked his background. He soon became popular, of course, with prosecutors in West Virginia for being able to solve extremely difficult cases. His reputation was such that prosecutors throughout the country wanted to use him as an expert witness. But in 1987, an innocent man named Glenn Woodall was convicted of a series of crimes and was sentenced to 335 years in prison. But the next year, 1988, DNA testing was used for the first time in a state prosecution, which proved conclusively that Woodall was innocent. The conviction was reversed, Woodall was released, and he sued the state for false imprisonment, winning a $1 million settlement. A criminal investigation into Fred Zane began. A special judge and a panel of lawyers and scientists were appointed to investigate the West Virginia State Police's serology department. Ultimately, a judge issued a report finding that Zane had engaged in outright misconduct and fraud over a long period of time. According to the report, Zane had misstated evidence, falsified lab results, and reported scientifically implausible results that may have resulted in as many as 134 people being wrongfully convicted. The judge's report concluded that Zane's misconduct was so egregious that any testimony offered by Zane in court should be presumed invalid, unreliable, and inadmissible. The West Virginia Supreme Court accepted this report, calling Zane's actions egregious violations of the right of a defendant to a fair trial and a corruption of our legal system. After leaving West Virginia, Zane then went to Bexar County, Texas. I got it right that time, right? Where his fraud and his misconduct may have resulted in as many as 180 wrongful convictions there. Reviews of the cases he was involved with resulted in charges being dismissed and convictions reversed for numerous cases both in West Virginia and in Texas. West Virginia alone paid a combined total of $6.5 million to settle wrongful conviction lawsuits related to Zane. So, to recap the current scandal. But first, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, the Ridge Wallet. I've been using my matching 24-karat gold wallet and key case combo for several months now. The only downside is that they're not necessarily cheap, but thanks to the Ridge's 10th anniversary sale, you can now save up to a massive 40% off. Just go to ridge.com/TCRL. Not only do these wallets look great, coming in a huge assortment of designs, but they're crafted from materials like carbon fiber weave, titanium, and aerospace-grade aluminum, making them extremely rugged and durable. They also block thieves from using RFID technology. I'm a big fan of the minimalist design. Everything you need, but nothing you don't. And there's no need to carry a bulky traditional wallet. These are extremely slim. You can just drop them in your pocket and forget they're there. If you get a wallet, you might as well get one of these sweet key cases. They're actually very functional. For guys with large hands like me, you no longer have to struggle to use small keys. You just grab your key case with your man hands and turn the thing. You can get both when you order one of these daily driver kits, which come in an assortment of designs. If you're not a fan of gold like mine, their website has over 30 colors and styles. There's over 50,000 5-star reviews. They give you a lifetime warranty as well as a 99-day test drive with a full refund if you don't like it. And check this out, they're also making rings now. I'm still trying this one out and I'll let you know how it goes in a future video once I put some miles on them. Again, get the best offer with ridge.com/TCRL, and right now you can save up to 40% off thanks to our sponsor, the Ridge Wallet. An anonymous whistleblower letter was sent to numerous politicians making serious allegations with sufficient specificity as to give instant credibility. A local investigative reporter began looking into it and reporting on it. Someone provided me with a copy of that letter. I released the letter and described the substance of the allegations in my first video about this, and I posted it on my blog where you can still find it. Then, all hell broke loose. My first video alleged that the head of the state police had been terminated. That wasn't true, at least not yet. Then the state trooper suspected of being the whistleblower who wrote the letter gets arrested the day before he's scheduled to testify at a grievance hearing where top brass from the state police was apparently subpoenaed to be questioned under oath by the whistleblower's attorney about allegations of corruption and misconduct. Didn't happen because he got arrested. So then the alleged whistleblower's attorney goes on TV news and calls the arrest retaliation for his client being the alleged whistleblower who wrote the letter that I released. The whistleblower must have friends in high places because state officials from the Department of Homeland Security then ran with those allegations and began searching the state police headquarters, seized the devices of the top brass at the state police, including the superintendent. But there's still more. The governor has asked the new interim state police superintendent, Jack Chambers, to look into a case where a man died along Interstate I-81 in Berkeley County, West Virginia on February 12th of this year. The theme here is a complete lack of accountability from within, cover-ups instead of actual investigation of police misconduct. Here's what's alleged to have happened there. A caller reported a man walking along the side of the road who appeared to be intoxicated. When officers arrived, the release from state police claims that there was some sort of struggle that resulted in the man becoming unresponsive, and then officers were unable to resuscitate him. Brian Abraham, the governor's chief of staff, said that tasers were used multiple times on the man. It ended up culminating in that individual being subjected to a taser on multiple occasions and ultimately had cardiac arrest or something, but he was unable to be resuscitated on the scene. The body cam footage of this event exists, but it has not yet been released. Here's what the governor said about it during his press conference. I've seen the video. The video is very, very concerning. There's just so much going on. Let's go back to this casino incident. One of the allegations to come out in the investigation of the state police leadership is that a senior trooper stole money from a guy in a casino. Then the governor's chief of staff demanded that the head of the state police terminate this guy, as well as the trooper who helped cover it up. Instead, he let this guy retire first. The investigative reporter, Kenny Bass, issued a FOIA request and obtained the video footage from the casino and the report detailing what happened. According to his reporting, at about 11:20 a.m. on May 29th, 2021, a male patron said that he had lost an envelope in the casino containing $500. This triggered a review of the security cameras. That showed a man in a hat, dark shirt, and blue jeans picking up this envelope. A further investigation of the video sequence revealed the man and his female companion, later identified as his wife, had already left the property. So this man was identified then as a West Virginia State Police captain. Investigating the matter, a West Virginia police sergeant contacted the captain and was able to quickly recover the envelope, which was stuffed with $731 in cash. The sergeant contacted the casino about the recovery, and he had the money back at the gaming facility by 2:22 p.m. On the next day, May 30th, 2021, the customer who had reported the missing money was back at the casino by 11 a.m. to claim his property. So the governor gave a press conference about this, and he slammed the state police leadership for covering this incident up. Basically, any way you cut it, money was stolen, Governor Justice said at a briefing earlier this week. The governor's chief of staff strongly suggested to the head of the state police that the two troopers that were involved in this theft and this cover-up be thrown under the bus immediately. Here's what he said. My advice was, by the time the sun goes down today, those two individuals would not be state troopers anymore. I then left the decision-making to him, Jan Cahill, the superintendent, as the agency head. But Colonel Cahill, who resigned Monday morning as state police superintendent, instead ignored Abraham's advice and allowed the captain to retire with 29 years of service. There was no investigation at all, and the sergeant who recovered the money was cleared by an internal agency investigation under Cahill's watch. A new probe, however, is focusing on the sergeant's failure to report the incident up the chain of command. Then there's, of all things, the scandal of the hidden camera being placed in the women's locker room of the West Virginia State Police Academy. The trooper who put the camera in the bathroom supposedly said he was doing so in order to catch some state police employees having an affair. But apparently he recorded a bunch of footage, presumably for his own use. That guy is now dead, so he's not going to be brought to justice. But then 3 troopers find this footage on a thumb drive later, showing the footage from the locker room. What do they do with it? They pull it out of the computer, throw it on the floor, and start stomping on it, destroying the evidence. The now former head of the state police said essentially that it wasn't a big deal because there were no victims who wanted anything done about it. Well, apparently that's not true. It's just been reported that multiple victims who were recorded have now hired lawyers and put the state on notice that they intend to sue. So multiple female employees of the West Virginia State Police were recorded by a state trooper, and then the evidence was destroyed by other state troopers. Leadership was aware of all of this, but they did nothing but engage in a cover-up. Imagine if the Fred Zane mess had just been covered up instead of being exposed. How many innocent people would still be rotting away in prison, but for the exposure of his misconduct? And that's what's currently at stake. It's not just about what we know about already. It's about what else do we not know about. It's about the integrity of past convictions, the integrity of pending criminal cases, pending civil lawsuits. I have conversations with people every day where I say essentially, yes, I believe you. I do believe you, but you have to be able to prove it. Do you have any video footage, any audio footage? Unfortunately, I can't just take your word and run with it. Just by default, the powers that be and just regular people will take a police officer's word over yours. We as a society have gifted that credibility to police officers just by virtue of placing a badge on them. If they're not worthy, if they're not credible, they just need to go as quickly as possible. An example needs to be made out of them for the others. And that is not what has been happening at the West Virginia State Police. The major point here that the former head of the state police completely missed is that accountability should be everything. You don't just throw 1 or 2 people under the bus when it's politically expedient to do so. You consistently maintain a high standard of integrity and professionalism. And if you don't do that, the entire system collapses. Then what happens? Well, the feds have to come in like it's 1866 and start putting people from Washington, D.C. in charge of local law enforcement. That's where we're headed, I believe, if this isn't resolved properly. But also remember, you can't trust the government just in general. We don't want them cleaning up this mess just for optics, and then continuing on after a certain quota of the top brass or former top brass have been thrown into a volcano. We need complete accountability and a plan for moving forward. Perhaps like the Zane ordeal, there should be a committee of people, including at least a judge, to sort through this. Somebody non-law enforcement. I'll continue watching this as it develops and will no doubt be providing future updates. So please subscribe if you want to follow along. If you have information about this, please provide it to me using the submission link or any of the other number of ways, including my other social media. Remember, freedom is scary. Deal with it. I'll see you next time.